Hi, I'm going to take a look at 2/2 and 4/4 time signatures, hornpipes and reels, and see how various things affect the rhythm of the music. I'm not going to try and play anything on an instrument. Instead, I'm going to use a piano roll MIDI editor, which is feeding a string synthesizer, giving a violin sound. I've programmed it into it already the first two bars of Harvest Home, which is a hornpipe I think most people will be familiar with. At the moment, I've got the notes quantized so that every note is exactly the same length. And to begin with, I've got them all exactly the same amplitude as well. So there's no stress, there's no accent on any notes, it's just playing every note exactly the same. So let's listen and see what that sounds like. Okay, that surprised me. I was expecting just to hear a continuous stream of notes, but I can actually hear a 4/4 beat in that, and I can hear where the bar lines are. I'm not sure, that might be because I'm already familiar with the tune, but I think actually some of the rhythm is contained in the shape of the melody. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, it's pretty dull and lifeless. That's not a good way to play any tune, although I do know one or two people who do play that way. So we'll start trying to make it into something more like a decent 4/4 hornpipe. The first thing I'm going to do is to reduce the amplitude of the offbeat quavers to give it the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and sort of feel. So if I just select every second quaver, and pull them down a little bit, let's see what that's done to the music. I think you can hear that's made the 4/4 beat much less ambiguous. It's very obvious that this is now 4/4 music, but it's still totally dull and lifeless. So when we play in 4/4, what we usually do, perceived wisdom, is that we play the first beat strong, the second beat weak, the third beat medium, and the fourth beat weak again. So let's just do that. Let's take, well, the first beat of the bar, of both bars, and make that stronger, and take the second and fourth beats and make them weaker. So now we've got a strong beat, a weak beat, a medium beat, a weak beat, and again a strong, weak, medium, weak. So let's have a listen and see what that sounds like now. So hopefully you can hear that's now got quite a lot of life to it. That's quite a nice little tune. It's become musical. The only thing missing from that as a hornpipe is that we've got all the notes at exactly the same note. I think you can recognise that as a hornpipe, but all the notes are the same length. The icing on the cake is to swing it a little bit. Make the on the beat quavers slightly longer and the offbeat quavers shorter to give it that swing. Let's see what that does. And I think that's not a bad little hornpipe. Now we'll go on and start looking at 2/2 rhythms. Let's just go back and remind ourselves what those two bars sound like with no accents at all. Everything played, every single note played exactly the same. And it sounds like this. Flat and boring, but you can hear a bit of a 4/4 beat in it. Now what I'm going to do is put a 2/2 beat on it. I'm going to put a strong beat at the beginning of each bar and a slightly weaker one in the middle of each bar. And let's see what that sounds like. Hopefully you can hear the 2/2 coming in, but there is something strange happening here. If I listen to the two bars separately, if we first close things up and just listen to the second bar, hopefully you can hear that's totally unambiguously 2/2. It's real. You can hear the da 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 da. But if I look at the first bar, although it's being played in 2/2, this is strict 2/2 rhythm is being applied to it, you can still hear it as 4/4 because of the pattern of the notes, the shape of the melody. It's still got its 4/4 on it. You could tap your foot 4 times in the bar there, or 2 times. It's become ambiguous. If I go back, play the second bar again. You can hear just those 2 beats. You can hear there are just 2 places to stamp your foot. It's still not a particularly good reel though. It's still pretty lifeless, isn't it? So we'll see about putting a bit more life into it. Okay, because the first bar's ambiguous, even when it's strict 2/2, played accented as strict 2/2, it has that 4/4 feeling about it. I'm going to just work with the second bar here. And what I'm going to do, if we just listen to it first, as it is in 2/2, you can hear those 2 beats, those 2 places to tap your feet. But it's a pretty lifeless reel. To give it a bit more life, what I'm going to do is just bring up the 2 and the 4 note, the 2 and the 4 beats. I'm going to bring up a little bit. Now you can hear it's got a little bit more life. It's a bit more rolling. But if I take them right up, if I really emphasise those 2 beats, it's gone back to being 4/4. You've now got 4 taps of your foot. But where that transition, I mean, going from 2/2 like that to 4/4, somewhere in between it's morphing from being a 2/2 to a 4/4. And where that happens probably depends on the listener. but also on what's come before it. If I leave it, if I get used to hearing the 4/4 and then bring this down, I can bring it right down and I'm still hearing the 4/4. Still hearing 4/4 right down there. If I take it back down completely and just listen for a while, I'll get back to hearing it as 2/2. Right, now I'm hearing it as 2/2, and if I increase this, I've got it right up to there, and I'm still hearing it as 2/2. I'm still tapping my foot twice to it. So whether you hear it, once you've got this real rhythm, whether you hear it as 2/2 or 4/4, depends probably a lot on who you are, and also on what's gone before it, or after it maybe. No, after it wouldn't affect it, but certainly what's gone before will affect it. And the one last thing to try with this, let's just do the same thing, put those same accents into the first bar, so we've got this rolling real rhythm, and then let's listen to the whole thing. And the last thing to try is swinging it. Okay, again we're making the first quaver longer and the second one shorter. And that's driven it very definitely back to 4/4. It's gone back to being a hornpipe. Despite the fact that the accenting, the strength of the notes is still 2/2, it's gone back and become a hornpipe again.